Okay guys, for the blog today we're lucky to have England defender Harry Jones with us. Harry, can you give us a little bit of your background, who you are, where you've been playing, etc.?
Sure. So my name's Harry Jones. I'm from Bournemouth. I'm 22 and I just graduated from Bournemouth University. I've been playing beach volleyball since I was about 13 and I've been playing ever since then really, so for the last few years. And I began my international career when I was 15. That was when I played my first tournament. And from there I've just gone bit by bit really, so playing different tournaments, playing different age group tournaments, playing on the national tour, the UKBT, and then kind of progressing into more international world tour stuff with the senior level really, and yeah, just carrying on with that and pushing forward.
Okay, good. And talk us through where we are at the moment, if that's all right.
Yeah, sweet. So we're in Porto de Matarón in Murcia, Spain, and we're on a training camp with BU Volleyball at the moment, so as part of the university beach program there. We've got around 20 to 30 players coming for the next over the next 2 weeks, including myself and a couple of other international players from Austria and Norway. And yeah, we've got a really, really good vibe. It's kind of the first time that we've done a training camp like this in Spain. And yeah, we've got a good group of athletes and a really good training environment, and we're just making the best of the winter really.
Cool. Obviously we're in December 2019, as people might be watching this in the future. What's your plans for the next year, so 2020?
Yeah, totally. So we're here in Spain for the rest of December, and then in January I plan on flying out to Australia for around 3 to 4 months to do some training in Adelaide, and then kind of moving around Australia to play the national tour there, because obviously it's their summer, so they've got a pretty decent national tour with sort of the aim to just get a load of game time really during the winter and kind of raise the level a little bit and get out of the comfort zone, and then from there kind of see what happens in April and see what events are going on internationally over in Asia, and after that just kind of see what happens really, see how the first block goes, and yeah, definitely playing as many tournaments as possible and competing internationally and on the UKBT.
Brilliant. Thanks, Harry. Now I wanted to catch up with you a little bit more and go into depth on defence, because obviously you're a defender.
Yeah.
So I know we're planning on breaking down defence into 3 different things. So can you tell me what you're looking at as a player's approaching as a defender?
Yeah, totally. So we just did a session on it as well, which is pretty good. So pretty much I think that as a defender, you kind of, first of all it starts off with what happens from the past. So once you serve the ball in, you're kind of looking at, right, what sort of situation are they in? Are they in system? Are they out of system? Obviously we kind of assume that everyone's going to be in system, so as soon as we realise that they're in system, as a defender we start looking at where the attacker's coming in on their approach line. So
okay, so can you just briefly, can you talk about what you mean by in system and out of system?
Yeah,
because
totally.
Some people
So
might
in
not know.
system is kind of when the ball's passed really well and the passing set is good, close to the net. That's when we're talking about in system, when the attacker kind of has all the options. When we're out of system, the ball's kind of passed off the net, the set's off the net. The hitter's not in a very good position to kind of access all areas of the court. So as defenders, we kind of have to adjust around where the attacker is. We can't set up as if the attack's going to be perfect if the ball's kind of off the net. So we always have to adjust to whether it's in system or out of system.
Okay, good. So imagine someone's in system and they're just making the steps of their approach. What's your positioning at that moment? And what are you looking at, and so on?
Totally, yeah. So I'm kind of holding the middle for a little bit, and then when I kind of see that the attacker's coming in, that's when I make my moves to sort of line up with their approach. So I'm kind of looking at where they're coming in from the other side of the net, and I kind of want to be facing up to them. So I'm using my body to sort of mirror what they're doing on their approach line. I kind of want to defend what I think the hard attack's going to be. So when they're coming in hard, that's kind of the one that I'm going to protect as a defender a little bit. And then, once they've kind of come in, they've made their approach, then I'm looking at the attack and the wrist when they open up, and I'm kind of looking for where the body turns. So obviously when the body turns, that means that there's less angles for the hitter to kind of access. If my body turns this way, it's really difficult for me to move this way and vice versa. So as a defender, I'm kind of lining up to see where the power line is, and then, if I can see something that drops, or I see the elbow come down, or I see the body turn, then I'm thinking about taking a few more different steps to kind of line up with what I think the most likely option is on the attack.
Okay, so we hear a lot about different coaches, different players will talk about cheating. How important is that for you, thinking about cheating? Do you guess sometimes, is there such a thing as cheating, or?
Yeah, good question. I think I think sometimes you have to take risks. I think as you get to sort of the higher level, you have to risk it a little bit. Most of the time, you're really lucky to get digs anyway, but sometimes I think nowadays, if you're just playing to not cheat, there's players you can just bang around and just shoot all the time, and sometimes you have to take risks of where you're going to be. And on the other hand though, if you have a really good blocker, sometimes as a defender you have to just stay where you are and you have to trust that the blocker is actually going to take that space a little bit more. So it's kind of personal to what you're playing against and who you're playing with. I think, you know, if you're playing a really high level, you are going to have to take some risks, but sometimes it's a lower level and say maybe it's a UKBT for example, then you maybe don't want to cheat because maybe your opponent doesn't have as many options, whereas when you start to progress up, lots of players have almost every shot in the book, I'd say. So you kind of have to balance it out to, yeah, you kind of have to take risk and reward really.
Great, and the last bit of defence really is the touch when you get to the ball. So when you do get to the ball and are playing it up, what are you thinking about in that moment?
Yeah, totally. I think like you want to be relaxed. So one thing that I've heard from coaches from Kurt Pittman said this really well to me is that you have to do lots and lots of work to get to the ball, but then when you actually get there, it's about being soft and relaxed. So if you're chasing down a ball, you know, you're going to sprint, but then at the end it's really soft touch. Aidan Tutton's a really good example of that. Like he can move really, really fast across the court, but then he actually has that soft touch at the end. And then similarly, if you're kind of dealing with a hard defense, you want to be relaxed all the time. So you're kind of holding the strong position, but you're still relaxed to actually take energy away from the ball. And it's something I'm not actually very good at, I don't think, as a defender. I think I could be a lot better at it, but that's what I think we're striving to do. We're trying to take energy out of the ball all the time.
Okay, cool. So you've made that dig, and then the last thing is you're looking to put that ball away. What do you personally like to do when you make a good dig?
Yeah, me personally, I think I always make a good dig. I want to come through and hit it, and I want to hit it hard and like put it away. That doesn't always work out very well for me, if I'm honest. But you know, I think in general with transition, it's kind of looking at what's in front of you. So you know, you made a dig, and then you kind of have to see, right, where's the set? What can I do? Where are my opponents set up? It's you know, it's really, really situational, and you kind of have to read into what's happening in front of you. I think one of the biggest things though is holding back. So in transition, it's really important to wait and to actually see where that set is, what's going to go on. I think the worst thing is sometimes in transition, like I said, you get really excited to come and hit the ball, and then you're too early and you're underneath it. And sometimes in transition, it could just be the really soft shot that actually gets you the kill. So sometimes, yeah, I think one of the main things in transition is just waiting back and really seeing where the ball is, not being too early, and then you can kind of make a good decision from that. But for me, yeah, I like getting up and banging it, and it's I think that's the best thing.
Okay, thanks, Harry. Last thing, 20 seconds. If you had one killer tip for a young beach volleyballer starting out, what would it be? Oh,
don't give up and just keep enjoying it, and don't worry about results when you're younger, because it doesn't really matter. Like honestly, it doesn't matter if you win when you're young or whatever. It's all about what happens when you're later on in life, and yeah, just enjoy it, or just enjoy it and keep going.
Great, thanks, Harry. Thanks very much, Harry Jones, England defender. Thanks very much.